Hello everyone and welcome back to a video or welcome to a video. Today I'm gonna be reading a waiting list of father figures and a family of classmates by What a Good Egg. Summary. Izuku wasn't sure what he would say if he ever saw his dad again. Honestly, he hadn't thought about the man at all for years. He thought he would find out that night. He didn't. Or Izuku's dad sends him a message asking to meet, and then doesn't show up. Really, it's his own fault for getting his hopes up. Aizawa disagrees. Izuku wasn't sure what he would say if he saw his father again. He used to think about it a lot. When he was 5, he thought it might be, "Welcome back." When he was 10, he thought it would be, "Why did you leave?" When he was 13, he thought about saying, "How could you do that to Mom?" And then, when he was 14, he met All Might. And though he would never admit it out loud, he did see the man as some sort of father figure. Training with him made Izuku understand why movies made such a big deal about playing catch with your dad. And maybe, just a little bit, he saw Aizawa sensei like that too. But the whole class did. So that was a little less embarrassing. Which is why he wasn't sure what to feel as he stared blankly down at the email in his inbox. Apparently, his mom had given his birth father his email address. She assured him that he didn't have to meet the guy or even reply to the message, but she thought he might want to reach out, just to talk. Izuku had no idea what she thought he wanted to talk about, but he appreciated her giving him the option. She was getting better at that lately. Completely stone-faced, he reread the email for the 13th time. "Hey kiddo, I'm sorry I couldn't make it last Christmas. I was busy with work. Anyways, I heard that you're in UA now. Imagine my surprise. My boss said he saw you at the UA Sports Festival with a shiny new quirk, haha. I know UA's got all of those new regulations these days. So how about this? Let's meet in front of your school on Christmas Eve around 8:30? Let me know if that works. Love, Dad." Slowly, Izuku began to tap out a reply. Then his hands sped up until he was slamming the keys so he forced himself to pause and take a deep breath before deleting the whole paragraph. Then he typed out a second one, scowled, and deleted that too. Finally, he just sent back the word "okay." To be honest, he wasn't really sure if it was a good idea. He wasn't sure what he would do or say, but fuck, if he wasn't curious to find out. Some part of him, the child that still wanted to say "welcome back," needed to know why he had left. No, that wasn't it. He knew why he left. And he knew why he was back. No one wanted a quirkless kid, but anyone would be proud to have a hero for a son. He needed to know if his father was actually here for him, or if the man was just trying to protect his image or something. So, at 8:27 on Christmas Eve, he excused himself from where most of the class was watching movies. Shockingly, only a few of them had chosen to visit home for the holidays, and pulled on his shoes before walking outside. He didn't even grab his jacket, telling himself that he would be back in a few minutes anyways. He couldn't imagine having a long, drawn-out conversation with the man. He didn't leave UA grounds. He just leaned against the inside of the UA barrier, staring out into the dark street for a while. After 10 minutes, he started to shiver. After 15, he sat down on the ground. After 30, he swallowed back a heavy lump in his throat and rested his chin on his knees. By the time an hour had passed, the cold night air had seeped in straight into his bones, easing the dense tangle of emotions in his chest into a sort of numb resignation. 5 minutes, he told himself. I'll just give him 5 more minutes. 2 hours later, he heard footsteps on the path behind him. He let his head fall back to see Aizawa standing there, staring down at him with his hands in his pockets. "You've been out here for a while, kid," Aizawa said. "It's pretty cold. Why don't you come inside?" "5 more minutes," Izuku mumbled as his gaze towards slid, slid forward again to face down the empty, silent street. "I just need 5 more minutes." For a second, Aizawa didn't say anything, even though Izuku could feel the man's gaze on the back of his head. Then he let out a sigh, and suddenly something warm and soft settled around Izuku's shoulders. It took him a second to realize it was Aizawa's capture weapon as the man settled next to him. "So?" Aizawa asked, leaning back on his hands as he scanned the street in front of them. "What are we waiting for?" For some reason, just those 4 words had Izuku tearing up immediately. He ducked his head to hide his face behind the capture scarf as he kept his gaze firmly locked as down the street, sniffling slightly. "It's, my dad," he mumbled awkwardly. "I know he hasn't. I haven't talked to him in a while. Since I was 5, actually. Well, he walked out on us, but he'll be here." Even to him, the words sounded hollow and fake, and he forced himself to repeat them a little more firmly. "He'll be here. I just have to give him 5 more minutes." He felt Aizawa scan him, but didn't look up. "All right, kid," the man said finally. 5 more minutes, and then we'll go inside." Izuku felt his shoulders slump, and a knot of tension in his chest that he hadn't even noticed eased slightly. He gave a short nod and crossed his arms over his knees, resting his chin on top of them and settling into weight once again. To his credit, Aizawa stayed silent for the whole 10 minutes. In the end, he didn't even have to say anything, as by then Izuku had his face hidden in his arms as he took deep, shaky breaths. He felt Aizawa's hand rest against his back, and without meaning to, he let out a little sob that he quickly swallowed. I don't even like him," Izuku choked out. "But I don't really hate him either. I don't even know him. Hell, I didn't even really want to show up. I stopped waiting for him to come home years ago, and that was fine. It was fine with just me and my mom. He trailed off, biting his lip as he shook his head, inhaled shakily, and scrubbed the tears out of his face and moved to stand up. "Sorry, I forgot I said anything. Let's just..." He barely got an inch off the ground before Aizawa gripped his sleeve, stopping him with a gentle touch. "You can talk to me, kid," he said quietly, with his expression far softer than his usual blank look. "I'll listen, if you want me to." Izuku faltered, and then quickly hid his face behind the capture weapon as he sat back. It took him a long moment to work up the courage to begin to speak again. "I don't want to see him," Izuku whispered. But, 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 he said he'd be here." He hesitated, trying to find a way to explain the messy ball of emotions that sat heavy in his gut. "I want an explanation. I want him to look me in the eye and tell me what right he has to come and speak to me after all this time. I want him to tell me he's here for me, not for himself or his image or anything. I want him to apologize so I can say I don't forgive him. I want him to reach out so I can get the satisfaction, the closure of slamming the door in his face. I want him to feel abandoned. I want him to feel sorry. I want him to admit he was wrong. He hid his face in the capture scarf, blinking back tears. I want to be able to forgive him just so I can get my dad back. I want the man who bandaged my knee when I fell, who held me when I cried, who made me pancakes and took me to see movies, and who cared. But he's not that man anymore." Aizawa said quietly. Izuku choked back a sob as he nodded. He's not. And even if I forgive him, even if he comes back and does everything right, he won't ever be the man again. And fuck, I mourned him. I grieved for the father I thought I had, and then got up and moved the hell on. It was difficult, and then it was over, and now things are good again, and he wants to come back. Just walk back into my life like he never left. He inhaled shakily, wrinking his hands through his hair. I want to ask him if he regretted it, if he grieved for the family he broke. I want to tell him that he can't hurt me anymore, that I'm not the kid who sits on the porch and tells my mom 5 more minutes over and over again anymore, and yet, he let out a little bitter laugh as tears streamed down his cheeks, and yet I am. With one damn email, he turned me back into the weak, useless little kid. I hate him for doing that to me. If he wasn't going to show up, then why didn't he just stay gone? Why is he trying to find ways to hurt me? Why am I stupid enough to sit here and wait for hours when he doesn't even deserve 5 minutes of my fucking time? His voice rose to a scream on the last part, but he barely noticed as he dragged his hands through his hair over and over again, tugging his curls, sobbing and trembling and being so useless and pathetic. Warm arms wrapped around him. Without thinking, Izuku turned into the embrace, burying his face in Aizawa's chest and sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. Distantly, he felt the man drag a soothing hand up and down his back. He gripped the hero's costume like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. I hate him, he sobbed. And I hate myself for hating him, and I hate him for making me hate him, and I hate him for making me hope. I hate myself for waiting for him. I hate him for not showing up. I hate myself for thinking he would, and I hate him for doing this to me on fucking Christmas Eve. He felt his voice begin to rise again as he took a deep breath to try and bring it back down as he clenched his hands began to shake. It's okay, kid, Aizawa murmured to him, holding him tightly. You're okay. You're gonna be okay. Everything's going to be just fine. Usually, Izuku didn't like to be hugged. Quick ones were bearable, but even if he liked the person hugging him, it always made him feel trapped and restrained. This didn't feel like that, though. Rather, this hug made him feel like he was being guarded. He couldn't really bring himself to say he disliked it. I just don't understand, Izuku wept bitterly. If he didn't want to talk, then why did he reach out? If he wasn't going to show up, then why did he even bother? If he wanted to have a family, then why did he leave? And if he didn't want that, then why did he even marry my mom in the first place? And if he didn't want to raise a kid, then why did he have me? He cut himself off with a choked sob, letting his arms fall into his lap as he slumped in defeat. I want my dad back, Sensei. I want to hate him, or I want to care about him, but I don't want to do both. I want to go back to not caring about him. I want to know what he would say. I want him gone. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of him. I want my family back. Aizawa didn't say anything for a long moment. Izuku didn't either. They just sat there as his sobs shifted into silent, bitter tears, sitting there out in the cold and crying against his teacher. He felt sort of numb, exhausted and defeated, ashamed and very, very small. I'm sorry, Izuku whispered, because he was. He didn't want to sit here and cry and spill all of his feelings in such a messy way, like a can of beans crackled over a villain's skull. He had just wanted to come out here, yell at his dad, maybe slam the UA barrier in his face, and then go inside and watch some crappy movies with his friends. You don't have to apologize, Aizawa said immediately. I'm not going to get mad at you for talking to me after I told you that you could. Izuku shrugged half-heartedly. It wasn't like he expected Aizawa to be mad or anything. He just felt bad for being such an inconvenience. I'm glad you told me that, he said slowly, and Izuku felt himself tense as he sensed a but. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not great at comforting people, kid, but I can make you hot chocolate and give you a cat to hold if you want. Izuku hesitated, sniffling as he tilted his head back to glance up at the hero with a nervous, baffled expression. That's it? I did say I'm not good at things like this, Aizawa said, shrugging awkwardly. Izuku shook his head quickly. No, that's not what I meant. Aren't you gonna... He trailed off, brow furrowing in confusion. Say I shouldn't cry? Tell me it's not a big deal. Say I'll feel better soon. Laugh? Leave? Ask questions? He settled on firmly. I think you made your feelings pretty clear, Aizawa said dryly. Izuku cringed and scrubbed at his face in embarrassment, which is a good thing, the hero added pointedly. I don't want to see him, so you don't want to see him, so I'll make sure you don't see him. In the meantime, I can give you a cat and hot chocolate, and a quiet place to sit, or hand you over to your friends, whichever one you think would be most helpful. Oh, Izuku said. Honestly, he wasn't sure what he had been expecting, but that wasn't it. Not that he was complaining. Yeah, please, he mumbled, curling in on himself slightly. By the point, his fingers were numb and stopped shivering a while ago, but the capture weapon around his shoulders was warm and soft, and he buried his hands into it, blowing on them to get the blood flowing again. Great, come on, kid, Aizawa said, petting Izuku's back before climbing to his feet. Izuku winced at the sound of the man's joints popping, feeling bad for making him sit out in the cold for so long, then let himself be pulled upright as he followed the hero back towards the dorms like a duckling. As soon as he stepped into the building, his friends warmed him in a mess of concerned fussing. Uraka actually gasped when she felt how cold he was, shooing him over the couch, wrapping a blanket around his shoulder as Ida took it upon himself to make hot chocolate for the class. None of them asked him about where he had been or called attention to the fact that he had obviously been crying, which she was grateful for. Within a few minutes of him sitting down, Izuku was bundled up in blankets with a mug of hot cocoa in his hands, and a cat on his lap that Aizawa had conjured up from God knows where. Were the teachers allowed to have cats in their dorms? Were the students? As soon as the cat was delivered, Aizawa tried to disappear again, but Ashido and Kirishima practically tackled him to the floor in an attempt to get him to stay. The men tried to wiggle out of their grasp. Kaminari stopped with a dramatic cry of, "But Midoriya needs you." Izuku winced slightly, as all eyes in the room snapped to him, squirming uncomfortably. He didn't want to be a bother again, but after a moment of hesitation, he lifted the cat's front legs, exposing its soft tummy, and flashed his best puppy dog eyes that made even Kachan hesitate. He could practically see Aizawa's resolve crumble as the man let out a heavy sigh and moved to sit on the floor in front of the couch Izuku was on, his ears turning red as the rest of the class cheered. "See, kid," Aizawa mumbled, shooting a gentle but meaningful glance over his shoulder. "You've got a family right here." And well, that just about had him bursting into tears all over again. It wasn't until several terrible movies later, when most of the class had fallen asleep in the common room and the tangled mass of emotions in his chest had eased into something warm and sweet, that Izuku realized Aizawa had forgotten to ask for the capture scarf back. He took a sip of his third mug of hot chocolate, staring out of the window as fluffy snowflakes filled the dark sky, letting his fingers sink into the cat's soft fur, and told himself he'd return it in 5 more minutes. As it turned out, the reason for Hisashi's absence was quite simple. Autocorrect. When he sent the email saying that he wanted to meet his son at 8:30 on Christmas night, he didn't think to double check his ensure and had typed it correctly, so he didn't notice when he typed Christmas instead of Christmas. And he didn't notice when his computer corrected it to Christmas Eve. And so when he turned up the next day right on time, ready to reseal his way back into his son's life, he was greeted instead by a hero he didn't recognize, who claimed to be his son's homeroom teacher. He was informed in a polite tone, paired with a victorious grin, that he had been blocked from the list of approved visitors, and he was asked to please not bother contacting his son again. He was also smugly told that the position of Izuku's father had already been filled, and that if he wanted a chance to get the spot, he would have to put him on a waiting list. When he tried to protest, the UA barrier was promptly slammed in his face, leaving him standing alone in the cold. This time, when he left, Izuku didn't miss him. This time, when the man tried to contact him again, he deleted the email without reading it. This time, he knew he already had a family and more parental figures than anyone could ever possibly need. And these ones didn't make him wait, even for a second. So that was kind of a long reading. I hope at least long for my other reason, compared to my other readings. I'm really sorry if it's bad or something. I tried. So I hope that's okay. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, goodbye.